There is a moment in every life when you finally understand this truth. You are not shaped by fate. You are shaped by focus. And my friend, the day you grasp, that is the day everything begins to shift. You may not see the shift in the mirror. You may not see it in your bank account. You may not feel it in your body. But something moves quietly, deeply inside the mind. That movement is the beginning of power, because the universe does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your attention. It listens to the signal you radiate when no one is watching. And most people never learn that signal is programmable, but you will. You're here now. You pressed play. And that tells me something. You're ready to take command of your inner world. Let me ask you something but dangerous. Where has your focus been laying? Not where you pretend it is, not where you hope it is, where it truly has been. Has it been anchored in possibility? Or drifting in fear? Has it been feeding your future or replaying your past? You see, the mind is a garden. It doesn't care what you plant. It only multiplies what you give it. And most people plant weeds without even noticing. They wake up and think about problems. They replay conversations with people who don't matter. They scroll through other people's lives and then wonder why their own feels out of control. But you're about to learn how to design your focus with intention so precise that your life cannot help but follow. Because what you hold in your mind with consistency becomes the blueprint for what shows up around you. Not instantly, not magically, but inevitably. The invisible law you can't escape. There is a law older than language, older than civilization, older than every dream humanity has ever dreamed. And the law is simple. What you repeatedly focus on expands. Focus is the architect. Life is the construction crew. If you center your attention on obstacles, the world gives you more to struggle with. If you center your attention on potential, the world hands you opportunities you once believed were hidden. Not because the universe plays favorites, but because your mind directs your awareness like a spotlight in a dark room. What you illuminate, you interact with. What you ignore, you become blind to. Most people live in darkness, not because the room is empty, but because their focus is aimed at the wrong wall. But you are not here to stay in that darkness. You are here to ignite something inside yourself that has been waiting for years to rise. The mind as a broadcaster, let me tell you a truth that will serve you. For the rest of your life, you are not simply living in the universe. You are broadcasting into it. Every thought, every expectation, every emotional tone is a signal. And life mirrors that signal back. This is why two people can walk into the same room. One sees opportunity everywhere, the other sees reasons to quit. The room is the same. Their focus is not. Your mind is not a passive receiver. It is an active transmitter. You are sending instructions into the world through what you dwell on most. Not through your passing wishes, not through your fleeting inspiration, but through the thoughts that dominate your inner landscape. So let me ask you again, what has been dominating your mind? Because domination, not intention, is what determines your direction. The private world that becomes public here is a secret you must never forget. What you do with your focus in private becomes visible in your life in public. Every achievement you admire in others began internally long before anyone saw it. The victories you will experience are already constructing themselves in the unseen. Your mind is writing the script that your future must perform. That is why your inner world matters more than any circumstance you face. Your bank account will change. Your relationships will shift. Your health will fluctuate. But the one thing that defines all of those outcomes is where your attention lives each day. You cannot plant seeds of fear and harvest courage. You cannot obsess over scarcity and expect abundance. You cannot rehearse defeat and hope for victory. Life does not work that way. The universe does not work that way. And deep down, you know it. An example you've seen before. Picture two people facing unemployment. One focuses on panic. He thinks about bills, judgment from others, and what could go wrong. His body tightens. His decisions shrink. His energy collapses. Another person focuses on possibility. She thinks about her skills, her network, the doors she can knock on. Her body energizes. Her awareness expands. Her actions become bold. Same situation, different focus, different future. This is not luck. This is focus shaping reality in real time. And you have that same power every single day. The first micro challenge before we go deeper. I want you to do something small right now. Micro challenge. First, name one thing you've been focusing on that drains you. Say it in your mind. Feel the weight of it. Acknowledge it. Now make a decision today. That focus loses its priority. It doesn't get deleted. It doesn't magically disappear. But it no longer rules your attention. Later in this journey, I'll show you how to replace it permanently. The habit of default focus. Most people live their entire life in reactive focus. They let the world decide their mental state. They open their eyes and immediately surrender their mind to notifications, gossip, opinions, and fears they didn't ask for. Imagine a billionaire throwing their savings onto a random sidewalk. That is what most people do with their attention every morning. You must become the opposite, a guardian of your focus, a protector of your inner space, because attention is energy, one of the most powerful forms of energy you possess. The more casually you treat it, the more chaotic your life becomes. But when you treat your attention with discipline, the universe respects that discipline. You build or you break, but you never stay still. Let me give you another truth. Your focus is never neutral. It is always building or always breaking. It is sculpting your next step or silently sabotaging it. There is no pause button in the mind. This is why emotional rehearsals matter. This is why self-talk matters. This is why expectation matters. Your subconscious is listening, absorbing, learning, programming. Every repeated thought becomes an instruction. Every instruction becomes a belief. Every belief becomes a pattern. And every pattern becomes your life. If you want a different life, you must start with a different focus. The builder versus the drifter. Let me illustrate a contrast you'll recognize instantly. The drifter guy thinks about what's missing, moves without direction, reacts instead of creates, blames circumstances for lack of progress. The builder guy thinks about what is possible, moves with clarity, intentionally directs attention, shapes circumstances instead of submitting to them. Both people have dreams, but only one has focus strong enough to turn those dreams into structure. Which one have you been? Which one will you become after today? The shift from reaction to creation. There is a divine moment in life, a line in the sand where you stop reacting and begin creating. It happens the instant you say, I will choose what my mind dwells on. Nothing else gets to decide. At that moment, you take the steering wheel away from fear, from distraction, from noise. You reclaim your mental sovereignty. Most people never experience that shift. They remain passengers in their own life. They hope the road will magically lead somewhere better, but not you. Not anymore. You are stepping into the role of creator, the one who directs life by directing focus. The second micro challenge second. Pick one thought. You want to dominate your mind for the next 24 hours, not a dozen, not 5, just one. Maybe it's I am capable, or I am building something meaningful, or everything I need is within reach. Choose it, hold it, repeat it. That becomes your mental anchor. Your focus, your identity in motion. Here's a truth most never realize. What you repeatedly focus on becomes the identity you embody. Not the identity you talk about, not the identity you hope for, the identity you live. Focus is the bridge between who you are and who you can be. An identity is not static. It is sculpted every day by what you choose to amplify. If you focus on discipline, you become disciplined. If you focus on leadership, you begin to lead. If you focus on strength, courage, growth, your character shifts to match that focus. This is why intention matters more than talent. Focus shapes identity. Identity drives action. Action builds destiny. A blurred mind creates a blurred life. A scattered mind creates scattered results. A divided mind creates divided energy, and divided energy can't build anything. This journey you're on will give you clarity. It will give you a level of focus that makes people wonder how you transformed so quickly. But clarity requires one thing, a decision about who you are becoming, not someday, not eventually, today. Because the universe does not respond to indecision, it responds to conviction. And I promise you this, once your focus becomes clear, your path becomes clear. And once your path becomes clear, your momentum becomes unstoppable. Limits formed by old stories, limits shaped by fear, limits that quietly sabotage your focus and your growth We're going to dismantle them one by one, because the universe cannot give you what you focus on until you remove what blocks your focus from taking root. Take a breath. Stay with me. Every limitation you feel in your life was taught to you, and anything taught can be untaught. Let that sink in for a moment. You weren't born with fear. You weren't born with self-doubt. You weren't born thinking small. You learned those patterns. And now you're going to learn how to break them. Because when you understand how limits are formed, you'll stop treating them as truth. You'll start seeing them as habits ready to be replaced. And that's when life opens. That's when opportunity notices you. That's when focus becomes a weapon instead of a weakness. So let's begin. The invisible box. Most people never escape. Every one of us lives inside an invisible box, a box shaped by past experiences, other people's opinions, childhood conditioning, and the stories we repeat internally. And here's the strange part. Most people defend their box. They don't even realize they're doing it. They say things like, "That's just how I am. That's just my luck. That's just how life works." No, that's how your focus has been trained to operate. Your box is not reality. It's a pattern, and patterns can be rewritten. Imagine you're a lion raised behind a fence. Even after the fence is removed, you still walk the same narrow path. Not because you're trapped, but because the pattern has become familiar. Humans aren't much different. We stay where our mind has walked for years. But today, you will break the fence. Limits are not walls, they are signals. Most people see limits as concrete barriers. But in truth, limits are indicator signals that point to where your growth must happen. If you feel resistance, it means here is where you must focus. Here is where freedom lies. Here is where the next version of you begins. Fear is not a stop sign. It is a spotlight. Self-doubt is not proof of inadequacy. It is proof you've reached the edge of your familiar territory. Whenever you feel, "I can't do this," you're not hitting reality. You're hitting conditioning. And conditioning is not permanent, but you have to expose it before you can dissolve it. So let's expose it. The three sources of limitation. Every mental limit you carry comes from one of three places. 1, stories you inherited, things you heard growing up. Money is hard to earn. People like us don't succeed. Don't take risks. Keep your head down. These stories weren't yours, yet they shape your expectations even now. 2, stories you repeated, times you failed, times you felt judged, times you were hurt. And instead of seeing those events as moments, you turned them into identities. The mind loves repetition, but repetition can become a prison. 3, stories you accepted, the comments from others that you let slip into your subconscious. A teacher, a parent, a partner, a friend, a stranger's criticism, words that entered as whispers but stayed as anchors. You never agreed to these limits consciously. They were absorbed unconsciously. But now you'll bring them into the light, because anything conscious can be changed. The mirror of focus. Here's something most people never realize. You don't live with who you are. You live with who you believe you are. And belief is simply repeated focus. A person who repeatedly focuses on inadequacy becomes powerless even if they have enormous potential. A person who repeatedly focuses on potential becomes powerful even if they begin with little. This is why two equally talented people live completely different lives, not because of ability but because of focus. One focuses on limits. The other focuses on growth. Which one wins? Always the one who chooses growth, not because the universe favors them, but because their mind tunes itself to solutions instead of problems. And what you tune into, you receive. The first breakthrough, changing your self-dialogue. Let me give you your first major tool. Your internal language is the operating system of your mind. Every limit is reinforced by certain phrases you've been repeating without noticing. I always mess this up. I'm not good with money. I'm just unlucky. This is too hard. This is who I am. These are not truths. These are scripts. Scripts written by old versions of you. Versions that no longer exist. It's time to rewrite the script. The replacement rule: every time you catch a limiting phrase, replace it with a constructive one, not overly positive, not unrealistic, just empowering. Examples: this is too hard. This will require growth, and I can grow. I'm bad with money. I'm learning to manage money. I can't do that. I can learn how to do that. See the difference? One shuts the mind. The other opens it. The mind follows the language you feed it. and your language can free you or imprison you. Micro challenge third, limit language swap for the next 24 hours. Catch one limiting phrase you often say. Just one, then replace it every time it appears. You will be shocked by how often it shows up, and even more shocked by how powerful it feels when you replace it. This is the beginning of breaking limits. The power of refocusing momentum. Imagine you are rolling a ball down a slope. Once it gathers momentum, it becomes harder to stop. Your mind works the same way. Most people build momentum in the wrong direction. Worry gathers momentum. Fear gathers momentum. Complaints gather momentum. Complaints gather momentum, not because they choose it consciously, but because they never interrupt the pattern. When you interrupt mental momentum, even once, you begin weakening the entire structure of your limitation. Every interruption is a crack in the wall, and eventually, walls crumble. The resistance that proves you're growing. When you begin breaking limits, resistance appears. Not because something is wrong, but because something is changing. Your mind tries to protect the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. So resistance shows up as procrastination, overthinking, fatigue, irritation, fear of judgment, sudden problems that distract you. This is not sabotage. This is your past trying to survive. When resistance appears, smile. It means you're stepping into new identity. It means you've reached the edge of your comfort zone. It means expansion is happening. And expansion always feels uncomfortable at first. A muscle that grows feels tension. A mind that grows feels resistance. But tension is a sign of strength, not weakness. The real reason you haven't broken through yet, let me tell you the truth with compassion, you haven't failed in life. You've simply been under-focused. Your energy has been scattered, pulled in 1,000 directions. You've been trying to build a powerful future with a divided mind. And a divided mind cannot produce extraordinary results. But you are not divided anymore. You are aligning now, your focus is sharpening, your awareness is rising. And once your inner world aligns, your outer world must follow. Not might, not maybe. Must, because the universe mirrors your dominant frequency. And you are about to broadcast one of clarity and strength. The second breakthrough, raising your self-expectation limits. Break when expectation rises. Not hope, expectation. Hope is soft, expectation is powerful. When you expect more, you act differently, you walk differently, you think differently. You stop settling for habits that belong to your old identity. Your brain begins working for you instead of against you. People who expect greatness behave in ways that attract greatness. People who expect failure behave in ways that reinforce failure. Expectation is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Today, raise the bar. Not dramatically, not unrealistically. Just one level higher. You don't need to leap to the top of the mountain. You just need to stop living at the bottom. A short story you'll remember. There's a famous study with fleas placed in a jar. They jumped high, far higher than the jar opening. So the researchers put a lid on top. After a while, the fleas adjusted their jumps to avoid hitting the lid. Then the lid was removed, but the fleas never jumped higher again. Not because they couldn't, but because they believed the limit still existed. This is the human story. This has been your story. But in this journey, you remove the lid permanently. Micro challenge, fourth, break one small limit today. Pick one tiny limit and shatter it. Not a big one, not a life-changing one, a small one. Examples. Make a phone call you've avoided. Do 10 push-ups when you usually do none. Spend 10 minutes on a project you've been afraid to start. Say no once when you want to people please. Small actions break big patterns. This is how you teach your mind, I am not who I used to be. If focus is the spark, discipline is the oxygen. Without it, the flame dies before it ever becomes a fire. And my friend, you were not born to live with sparks. You were born to burn with purpose. Today, we build the systems that turn intention into consistency, consistency into progress, and progress into a life only discipline can construct. Let's begin. The myth of motivation. Most people think success is built on motivation. They think winners wake up inspired every day. They imagine champions leap out of bed with fire in their eyes. No, that's not how reality works. Motivation is a visitor. Sometimes it visits, often it doesn't. And if your future depends on its unpredictable arrival, you will never rise consistently. Winners don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. the ability to act regardless of mood, weather, comfort, or resistance. Discipline is not emotional, it's structural, it's dependable. It's built like a rail system, simplify the path, reduce friction, remove choice, because the fewer decisions you must make, the more powerful you become. Your future doesn't need more inspiration. It needs fewer obstacles to consistent action. And that is where systems begin. The law of automation, the mind is chaotic. It wanders. It distracts itself. It changes emotional temperature without warning. But habits are stable. Habits anchor you. Habits remove uncertainty. The law is simple. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If your systems are weak, discipline feels impossible. If your systems are strong, discipline becomes automatic. So here's the truth. Your life doesn't change when you set a goal. It changes when you build a system that protects that goal. Let me show you how. The 3 foundations of a powerful system. Every effective system is built on 3 pillars. 1, a trigger, something that tells your brain, begin now. It might be juez, the moment you wake up, juez, a specific playlist, juez, sitting at your desk, juez. On running shoes, hot a cup of morning tea. Your trigger doesn't need to be dramatic, it only needs to be consistent. 2, a simple action, not a massive task. A simple action that signals momentum. Examples: write 1 sentence, reread 1 page, stretch for 1 minute, meditate for 30 seconds. 2, 3 push-ups. Why so small? Because small actions bypass resistance. The mind will fight a giant step, but it won't fight a tiny one. Once you begin, momentum takes over. 3, a clear reward. Humans repeat behaviors that feel rewarding. You can't rely on willpower alone. Your reward could be a moment of calm, see a sense of accomplishment, see a dopamine hit from checking off a task, see 5 minutes of something you enjoy, make the behavior satisfying, and your brain will wire it into your identity. This is neuroscience, not motivation. The 2-minute rule of transformation. Let me give you one of the simplest, yet most transformative tools you'll ever learn. If the action takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. 2 minutes is too small to trigger mental resistance. 2 minutes is enough to begin momentum. And momentum, that is everything. Write for 2 minutes. Organize for 2 minutes. Meditate for 2 minutes. Work on your dream for 2 minutes. The magic isn't in the 2 minutes. The magic is in starting. Because once you start, the brain transitions from avoidance to engagement, and engagement is the birthplace of discipline. Story: the student who changed his life with 1 rule. A student once told me he struggled with studying. He procrastinated for weeks. He felt overwhelmed. He believed he lacked discipline. So we created 1 rule. Open the textbook for 2 minutes. No requirement to study, just open it. Within a month, he was studying 30 minutes a day. Within 3 months, he became top of his class, not because he was smarter, not because he suddenly had motivation, but because he removed the resistance to studying. Your life can shift the same way. Small beginnings create unstoppable endings. Micro challenge. 5th, your first system. Choose 1 area of your life. Just 1, maybe. Tool fitness, tour finances, court, skill building, career, confidence, court, mindset. Relationships. Now design a tiny daily system using the 3 pillars. 1, trigger. 2, simple action. 2, minutes or less is 3. Reward, write it down. Commit to it for 7 days. Not perfection, consistency. This system becomes the seed of your future. The discipline trap. Most people fall into. Most people approach discipline backward. They think, I need to become disciplined first, then my actions will become consistent. But in truth, your actions become consistent first, and then you become a disciplined person. Identity emerges from repetition, not the other way around. You don't become a runner by thinking like a runner. You become a runner by running. Even if it's just for a minute. You don't become confident by claiming confidence. You become confident by taking small, courageous actions. Identity is built brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. So stop trying to feel disciplined. Start acting disciplined in tiny, controlled ways. The feelings will catch up. The power of non-negotiable routines. Let me give you a concept that separates those who dream from those who achieve. Non-negotiables. A non-negotiable is a behavior you commit to daily. No excuses, no exceptions, no negotiations with yourself. It could be 10 minutes of exercise, half 5 minutes of mindfulness, 1 page of reading reviewing. Your goals each morning, 15 minutes of working on your future. The size doesn't matter, the consistency does. When you tell your mind, this happens every day, no matter what, an identity shift occurs. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries, and you begin seeing yourself as someone who does. That shift is priceless. The secret to overcoming procrastination is not laziness. It is mismanaged emotion. When a task feels heavy, uncertain, or intimidating, the brain protects you by creating avoidance. So how do you overcome it? You reduce emotional load. Break the task into pieces so small they cannot trigger fear. Instead of write a chapter, you say write 1 sentence. Instead of start the workout, you say put on my shoes. Instead of clean the kitchen, you say wash 1 plate. This is not weakness. This is strategy. The great achievers of history weren't superhuman. They were strategic with their energy. They made action easy, automatic, inevitable. Now you will do the same. The compound effect of disciplined focus, your future won't be built in 1 dramatic moment. It will be built in hundreds of tiny moments you barely notice. But those tiny moments compound. 1 push-up doesn't matter, but 1,000 do. 1 journal entry doesn't matter, but a year of entries transform your clarity. 1 hour of learning doesn't matter, but 300 hours make you a different person. You don't transform by intensity. You transform by accumulation. Small behaviors repeated consistently become unstoppable momentum, and unstoppable momentum becomes destiny. The power of environment engineering discipline becomes easier when the environment supports it, harder when the environment fights it. So make your environment work for you, not against you. She wants to read more? Place the book where your phone used to be. Want to eat healthier? Keep nutritious foods visible and remove junk from reach. Want to work on your goals? Designate a specific seat or corner as your growth space. Want to work out daily? Lay out your clothes the night before. Environment drives behavior. If you design the environment, you design the behavior. And if you design the behavior, you design the future. Micro challenge 6th. Engineer your space. Pick 1 habit you want to build. Now modify your environment in 1 small way to support it. Examples: put your running shoes next to your bed. Place your journal on your pillow seat. Move your guitar to the center of the room. Hide distracting apps on your phone. Place water on your desk. Small changes create massive consistency. When discipline feels impossible, there will be days you feel tired, days you feel unmotivated, days you question yourself, days you feel like going back to old patterns. Hear me clearly, those are the most important days. Anyone can be disciplined when life is smooth. Champions are disciplined when life is loud, chaotic, and discouraging. The days you don't want to show up, but you show up anyway, those days build the identity of someone unstoppable. Momentum doubles, confidence doubles, self-respect multiplies. Discipline isn't built by perfect days. It's built by imperfect days executed consistently. Your breakthrough will not come from the days you feel strong. Your breakthrough will come from the days you refuse to quit. Because resilience is not built in comfort. It is forged in difficulty. In the moments when everything inside you whispers, stop, and you answer, no. This part of the journey is not about focus alone, not discipline alone, but the power to stand tall when life tests everything you've built. And I promise you this, life will test you, not to punish you, but to prepare you for the future you're constructing. Let's walk into that strength. The inevitable storms everyone, no matter how successful, walks through storms. The storm might arrive as hucks a setback, hucks a rejection, tucks a financial hit, hucks a betrayal, a mistake or a failure, or a season of doubt. Some storms arrive quietly, some arrive violently. But all storms do the same thing. They expose your foundation. They reveal the strength of your focus. They reveal the strength of your discipline. They reveal the strength of your habits. But most importantly, they reveal the strength of your identity. Storms don't create champions. They reveal them. And right now, the world is not asking you to be invincible. It is asking you to be resilient. The difference between pain and punishment, you must understand something few people learn. Pain is not punishment. Pain is preparation. When you lift weights, your muscles tear, not because you're weak, but because you're growing. When you pursue a dream, your mind faces resistance. Not because it's impossible, but because you're expanding. The pain you feel when things go wrong is the same pain that shapes you into someone capable of carrying success. You cannot have a strong mind without pressure. You cannot have a strong character without struggle. You cannot have mastery without adversity. The universe is not hurting you. It is shaping you. The question is, will you let the shaping happen? The energy of setbacks. Every setback contains 3 forms of energy. 1. The energy of frustration. 2. The energy of fear. 3. The energy of clarity. Most people stop at the first 2. They drown in frustration. They freeze in fear, but those who succeed go deeper. They unlock the clarity hidden behind the setback. Every failure reveals what needs improvement said, what needs to be removed said, what needs to be strengthened hot, what needs to be learned. The setback is not saying you're not capable. It's saying here is your next level. Setbacks guide you. Setbacks refine you. Setbacks redirect you. And sometimes the setback is the very thing that saves your future. The story of 2 climbers. Imagine 2 climbers scaling a mountain. Halfway up, both slip. Both fall several feet. One climber curses, panics, and says, "This always happens to me. I knew I couldn't do this." He descends the mountain, convinced he's not strong enough. The other climber catches his breath. He looks at the rock that failed him. He studies its texture. He finds a better grip. Then he climbs again, smarter, steadier, and more aware. Same fall, different focus, different outcome. The fall doesn't determine your destiny. Your response does. Micro challenge 7th. Write your resilience statement right now. Create a short resilience statement. Just 1 sentence. Something like, I rise when things get hard. Setbacks sharpen me. Pressure makes me stronger. I grow through difficulty. Write it, say it, own it, because the mind repeats what you tell it. The reality of resilience, is built, not born. People often think resilience is a personality trait. It's just how some people are. No, absolutely not. Resilience is trained. Resilience is conditioned. Resilience is a muscle built through repetition. You become resilient the same way you become strong, by being tested and choosing to stand up again. Every challenge is a rep. Every difficulty is a training session. Every moment of doubt is an opportunity to expand. Your resilience is being built every time you continue when your old self would have quit. This is mastery. The battle between the old you and the new you. Let me share a truth. Most ignore. When you begin to grow, your old identity fights back. Not because it hates you, but because it's afraid of disappearing. When you start staying consistent, your old self whispers, we never do this. When you start believing in possibility, your old self whispers, be realistic. When you start breaking patterns, your old self whispers, this is too much. This inner conflict is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of evolution. The old you is losing power. The new you is emerging. Every time you push through that internal resistance, the new identity becomes stronger. And one day, the old voice fades. Not because it's gone, but because it no longer commands you. That is mastery. The power of becoming unemotional about obstacles. Resilience doesn't mean being emotionless, but it does mean becoming unemotional about obstacles. Look at challenges as data, information, lessons, signals. Don't label problems as bad luck, proof of failure, reasons to quit. Label them as next step. Calibration points, instructions when something goes wrong. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Because there's always a lesson. Even in the harshest conditions, there is wisdom hiding in the discomfort. And the ones who rise are the ones who extract the lesson instead of reliving the pain. The rebound speed principle, one of the most powerful traits of resilient people, is this. They shorten the time between setback and action. They don't dwell. They don't spiral. They don't wait for motivation. They don't turn pain into a permanent identity. They feel it, then think, then move. Your rebound speed determines your trajectory. The faster you return to focus after difficulty, the stronger you become. This doesn't mean rushing healing. It means refusing to stay stuck. Aim to shorten the bounce back time by just 10%. That small shift will transform your year. Micro challenge 8th. Shorten the bounce back. Think of a recent setback, big or small. Now answer this. What is one action I can take today that moves me forward? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Resilience lives in this question. The transformation of pressure. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is your sculptor. Pressure shapes. Hide your values, hide your character, hide your emotional strength, hide Your clarity hud your strategic mind, your patience hud your grit. Without pressure, you cannot refine your potential. Without friction, you cannot sharpen your gifts. Without challenge, you cannot develop mastery. Pressure exposes your raw material so that you can mold it into something greater. Stop fearing pressure. Start using it. A gift inside struggle. There is a gift inside every struggle, but only the resilient find it. Some gifts look like new strength, heed, new clarity, new direction, new boundary, new courage, new identity. Some gifts arrive disguised as loss. Some arrive disguised as failure. Some arrive disguised as endings. But when you look back, you realize those moments were not breaking you. They were building you. Everything you survived prepared you for everything you are about to receive. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Nothing was meaningless. Your resilience has been earning interest this entire time. And soon the return will surprise you. There comes a moment when you stop living for survival and start living for significance. A moment when you look at your life and realize you are not here merely to exist, to repeat days, to chase comfort, to follow the script others handed you. You are here for impact. You are here for growth. You are here to build something only you can build. Legacy is not about what you leave behind someday. Legacy is how you show up today. And today, you rise into the mindset of someone who shapes their world, not someone shaped by it. Let's walk into that identity. The shift from seeking approval to seeking alignment. Most people live half their life trying to please others, and the other half trying to recover from that mistake. Approval is a trap. It keeps you shrinking. It keeps you performing. It keeps you disconnected from your true potential. But alignment is freedom. Alignment asks, who am I becoming? What values matter to me? What life feels meaningful? What path honors my highest self? When you shift from approval to alignment, your confidence changes. Your decisions strengthen. Your energy becomes magnetic. Legacy begins the moment you choose alignment over applause. The true nature of identity, let me tell you something profound. Identity is not who you are. Identity is who you habitually decide to be. Identity is built from what you focus on, what you tolerate, what you repeat, what you expect, what you walk toward daily. Identity is not fixed. It is fluid. It is moldable. It is upgradable. And the version of you that creates a legacy is not a version you discover. It is a version you build, brick by brick, choice by choice, standard by standard. Your mindset shapes your identity. Your identity shapes your behavior. Your behavior shapes your destiny. This is the architecture of legacy. The inner voice that cannot be ignored. There is a quiet voice inside you, one that has been whispering for years. It speaks the truth about who you could become. It shows you the flashes of your potential. It nudges you when you're settling. It pulls you when you're drifting. That voice is your higher self. It does not shout because it knows power doesn't need volume. But the world is loud. Doubt is loud. Fear is loud. Distraction is loud. Your legacy depends on learning to lower the noise so you can hear the whisper of your deepest potential. When you hear it clearly, your life begins to align itself around it. The law of self-standards here is a truth that will redefine your entire future. You do not rise to the level of your dreams. You rise to the level of your standards. Your standards decide how you treat yourself, how you handle setbacks, what behaviors you allow, what habits you build, what results you will not accept, what life you refuse to settle for. Dreams inspire you. Standards transform you. People with high standards shape their mind intentionally, protect their energy fiercely, and refuse to negotiate with their own potential. This is the mindset of legacy. Story: the carpenter who built his last house. There's a story about a master carpenter nearing retirement. His employer asked him to build one final house, but the carpenter's heart wasn't in it. He used cheap materials, rushed the details, cut corners. When he finished, the employer handed him the keys and said, "This house is yours, a gift for your years of service." The carpenter felt sick. He realized he had built his own home with low standards. This is how many people build their life. They think their choices don't matter. They think shortcuts don't accumulate. They think discipline can wait. But one day they wake up and realize they are living inside the home their habits constructed. Never forget this. You are always building. Every day, every action, every thought. Legacy is built the same way, through the standards you practice. Micro challenge. Ninth, upgrade one standard. Pick one tiny standard in your life. Raise it today. Examples: wake up 10 minutes earlier, stretch. Instead of snoozing, speak kindly. To yourself, reduce negative self-talk. Drink more water. Set. Keep your workspace clean. Finish one small task with excellence. Small standards grow into extraordinary identity. The power of one decisive person. Think about the people who changed history. Not just the famous names, but family members who broke cycles, teachers who changed minds, leaders who elevated communities, parents who raised strong children. They weren't always the smartest. They weren't always the strongest. They weren't always the most gifted. But they were decisive. At some point, they said, "This dysfunction ends with me. This limitation ends with me. This complacency ends with me. This fear ends with me." Legacy begins when one person breaks a pattern that has existed for generations. That person can be you. The mindset of the future you. Let's imagine your future self, the version of you 5 years from now who stayed consistent, committed, focused, disciplined. That version walks with presence, sees, speaks with certainty, loves with depth. He works with purpose, thinks with clarity, acts with conviction. Now ask yourself, what does that version of me believe? Because beliefs shape behavior. Perhaps they believe I can handle adversity. My effort compounds. I am worthy of success. I am capable of growth. My future is mine to build. I am stronger than my excuses. To step into your legacy, you must adopt the mindset of the person you are becoming, not the person you were. The inner battles that define you. Legacy is not built in public. Legacy is built in the inner war no one else sees. It's built in the moment you choose discipline instead of comfort. It's built in the moment you choose courage instead of fear. It's built in the moment you choose purpose instead of distraction. It's built in the moment you hold the vision when the world doubts you. Your legacy is shaped by the choices you make when no one is grading you, watching you, or praising you. But someday, everyone will see the result of those quiet choices. The gift of responsibility. There's a form of responsibility most people run from, but the strongest people embrace it. Responsibility for your mindset. Your mindset is not your parents' fault, not society's fault, not your past's fault, not your circumstances' fault. Your mindset is your responsibility, and because it is your responsibility, it is also your power. When you take responsibility for your inner world, your outer world begins to respond differently. You stop reacting to life. You start directing life. This is the mindset of someone who leaves a mark. The purpose behind your struggles, everything you've endured, has shaped the person who is listening right now. Your heartbreak built empathy. Your struggles built strength. Your failures built wisdom. Your storms built resilience. Your setbacks built character. And all of it, every moment, is material for your legacy. Your purpose is not just what you create. Your purpose is who you become. Imagine the people who will draw inspiration from your journey. People you will never meet. People who will grow because you grew. People who will rise because you refuse to fall. That is legacy. Micro challenge 10th. Write your legacy sentence right now. Write one sentence that captures the legacy you intend to live. Examples. I am the one who transformed my family's story. I live with purpose, courage, and clarity. I build a life that reflects my highest self. I rise so others can rise with me. This is not about ego, it's about direction. Where you aim your identity is where your life will follow.